Oh, I didn't see you there. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Tuesday. Tuesday, September the 24th. I'm glad you're here. It's so good to see you again. Because one day somebody is gonna go through all of these videos, and then they're gonna get to this one. Oh wow! They're gonna feel real good that they just got called out. Maybe, or maybe not. Yeah, it's another Tuesday. That means we have to go through another chapter. Only one this week. Only one chapter. So that means that hopefully we can do this in an hour and then draw for a little while. But let's find out. Let's find out what we can do. Fair warning. Fair warning to everyone. There have been issues with the production, and my arms have been disappearing periodically. Nothing to worry about. I am made of paper, so it doesn't hurt. I am mostly a void, but it might be jarring to viewers at home. Just don't worry about it. It's all good. It's all good. That aside, let's jump right into things. We got chapter 12 here. Initially, I was really confused. I mentioned the dandy here, and I was like, wait, chapter 12? The dandy? We just did the dandy. That was last week's. I made a whole joke about 7-Eleven. It turns out the reason I was confused is the same reason I was confused while I was reading through the introduction here, is Teal was apparently supposed to be following the dandy, and yet we get absolutely zero mention of them. There's no mention of her following anyone, of her doing anything like that, which is honestly okay. I don't like we were just saying, I don't think she has to pursue that idea. I don't think she really needs to follow him. That's kind of creepy. So like we can do away with this idea, and we can keep Teal here in the alleyways trying to find her way out. Like I think we're coming to the end of this notion that Teal is in the underbelly, quote unquote, of the city. Sorry, there's a little fruit fly on my desk. Oh wow, it is just scuttling all over the place. Look at this little guy. That's crazy. Speed of light. ADD aside, Teal's in the alleyway here, which is fine. Like I think we get another chance to depict things that we've already touched on that we've deemed important, such as depicting people and their lives, things that Teal would be looking at here, like the architecture. We can mention the weather, right? We'll get to that in a second. We could also, wrestle with Teal's unfamiliarity with, having this notion that she is fond of urban environments but doesn't recognize anything that's going on here. She's like a fish out of water, like a fish out of water, but then the fish is still breathing because they breathe on land. That'd be crazy. That'd be nuts. That'd be, honestly, yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's a little too far-fetched. I digress, however. We can dip into this a little bit by eschewing Teal following the dandy, whatever. Or if she is following the dandy, I gotta mention it. Either way, she's in the alleyways. We can do a bit of world building here. And Teal's going along. She's a little turned around. She comes to a puzzle. She comes to a puddle here. Everything she's doing is a bit of a puzzle right now. But she comes to a puddle early on here. And while it's a very small beat right now, I think it should be more of a thing, right? Going forward, this can be woven into the narrative a lot better, rather than just like a haphazard blot of paint on this canvas. We can zoom in on this happenstance to further push the current idea in the narrative. Because the way the book is going, the trajectory of it is Teal's been going through this alleyway. She's having a bit of a sediment is forming in her full stop. And she's wrestling with things. She's coming to terms with what she's doing, what she's feeling, how she's feeling. We can use this as a beat to further that, to exemplify this, because we've talked about different ideas and how they're going to keep cropping up, and how we need to plant the seed somewhere. This is another one of those ideas where it's maybe not early on, right? We're definitely into like the first quarter, the second quarter of the book here. I say as I look at the page count, and we are not out of the first quarter. We're like barely in the second eighth of the book here, but never mind that. Never mind. Don't look at the page count. Don't look at it. We can use this as an opportunity to highlight something that is bothering Teal. We can use this to touch on the notion that time is a little weird here, that the weather is persistently dour. Right? Why is there a puddle in the alleyway? Okay, well, it's probably because it's been raining, right? Teal has been privy to this information. She's experienced it firsthand. It was just raining. It was just drizzling. Like I've mentioned, we gotta touch more on the weather, that it's always kind of overcast, or it's raining, or it's foggy or something, right? It's just always England here in the wherever. But we can use this as a beat to really solidify the idea that that Teal never takes this chance to reflect. She never takes a moment to see her reflection. And that's basically what this note here is saying, that like, yeah, I think the beat is good, but we need to refocus this section on self-reflection. Pardon the pun. And the fact that there's this puddle here, Teal has this moment of thinking, geez, have I seen myself recently? There have been moments when she could have seen herself. And she really, in this moment, starts to think about, there's a little passage here. There's a little passage here on this side that you can check out if you want. Where that's just kind of like me spitballing some BS. But we can keep this puddle moment here and have her kind of think, hey, yeah, when was the last time I actually looked at myself? I don't actually remember. Is it me? Despite it all, is it still me? And she has this worry, this doubt, this, very much a self-doubt that, I don't know. I don't know if it is still me, and I'm not sure if I want to find out. I don't know if I want to look in that puddle. I don't know if I want to see my reflection, because I don't exactly know if who I am is what I remember, or if maybe I've changed and I don't like that, or maybe I am still the same and maybe I still don't like that. And this is a thing we, just gently prod at throughout the book. It doesn't come up too much, but it is like a point of the narration that Teal is kind of just refusing to self-reflect throughout the book until it culminates in a moment where she's like, wait a minute, I'm dumb. Hold on, I'm a dummy. I should have been thoughtful. I should have been mindful and demure, but instead I was a fool, and I can't think of a good rhyme. I can't think of a good rhyme with demure. Manure. She was manure. That's all I got. But yeah, we can have a puddle moment, and I think the puddle moment will tie into the narrative instead of all this like fluff we really have in here. Speaking of fluff, right? Teal goes along and she discovers an avenue, a pretty populated city space. There's a lot of foot traffic going on. And apparently she came upon this by like following the dandy. She like heard things. She heard society. She was spurred on by the noises. And I think her finding of this area should be way less organic. She should just be mulling over the puddle issue and kind of frowning at the fact that she's being a little cynical, that she's refusing, right? She's refusing the refusal, that she's like, no, it's fine. It's whatever. It's not like I'm afraid to see myself. It's just, who wants to look into a crummy puddle anyways? I bet it's all murky, right? And she's going along here, and she should just have a moment where she just walks into this avenue. She almost like slams into the people, into this throng of people who are just bodies milling around. And it should really hit the reader as much as it hits Teal that there's this sudden jarring shift in energy. That she's suddenly out of the alleyways just end, and here's the avenue, and Teal just in it, and there's a lot of energy and a lot of chaos. Well, we're in a different landscape. And by doing that, I'm projecting forward that like things are about to transition. We're in a spot that's in the city. We're out of the alleyway though. We're in this weird gray area, and we're about to have a weird chapter that is a big signifier that things are kind of weird here. That things don't necessarily make sense in this city. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I think just really escalating the weird in this part by doing that, instead of having this transition where Teal goes and thinks, okay, well, I'm following sounds, I'm heading in a direction, I come upon what I see. Teal is just engrossed in introspection, and then similar to how she ended up walking into the Terpsichorean, she's just going to walk into this avenue and almost just get swallowed up by the people walking around and going about their lives. We have this section where she comes upon the avenue and she's doing some people watching. She's not really sure what to do, which is okay, right? Teal's in this state of not really knowing anything, which is like, yeah, I feel that. I get that. For real, for sure. Girl, I get it. She ends up in this process finding this odd building that's really just protruding from the middle of this avenue, and nobody seems to care. Everyone's just going around it as if this building has always been there, even though it's clearly in everyone's way. And that's fine. This is like a good way to indicate like what we just talked about, Teal's a little lost and doesn't really know what she's doing. B, it's good world building, right? We get a good sense of what Teal is looking at, what she's experiencing. Obviously, we want to incorporate more of her senses. Right now, it's very visual. Because, there would be a lot of noises, a lot of smells, a lot of things going on. Her senses are being bombarded and she's trying to think, but she's like, okay, well, I guess I won't think. I guess I'll just people watch. And in that moment, right, that's when she discovers this oddity sitting in the middle of the street. And that's fine. There's a line in here about Teal being really nosy, but what I'm trying to get at is we don't need that. We don't need to tell people that Teal's being nosy while she's actively being nosy. That's what she's doing right now. It's that's stupid. We can rip that right out. Teal is just going to sit here and be nosy and be curious, right? That's fine. She can keep doing that. She discovers a building and she's curious, and she has an aside with a pedestrian. The pedestrian, which I take a shot at myself for having for having every chapter be a moniker for the character that we meet. And so I call this one-off character the pedestrian, and they only have one line. And honestly, I think they're just going to get cut. I think they're going to lose their one line because it's weird in my mind that Teal's just like, she would not be, it's not as though she lacks the social confidence to just ask a person on the street, hey, what's that building? I just don't know if she would do that right now. There's a bit in here where there's a really good alliteration that might be cut because of this change, but I think the merit of having Teal come to the self-projecting, motivated conclusion that she should go and check out this building, that she's like, oh, a weird thing, I want to go look at that. I think the merit of having her do that herself, come to that conclusion, and dive headlong into this wave of people that is between her and this building, outweighs the need to project Teal as a gregarious being. We've already seen she's very capable of socializing. She meets basically everybody in every chapter she walks up to and starts talking to. Very seldomly is she the one who people are approaching. Teal is always kind of putting her pointy little nose, in everyone else's business. So we don't need a little beat here to prove Teal would walk up to a stranger and talk to them. We've been doing that for the whole book. It reads a lot better here if instead we paint Teal as, so curious to the point where she's going to go out of her way. She's going to have an aside and investigate a strange little building that she found. There's an argument in here that, okay, Teal works her way over to the building. Does that need to stay? Do we need to highlight her natural dexterity? Should there be an awkwardness to this scene? In Teal physically interacting with the citizens, with the denizens of the city, we get a good sense of what they're like, kind of what the culture is like here, what they're doing, what they're carrying, what they're interacting with, maybe what they're talking to one another about. So Teal asks this pedestrian, what's that? The pedestrian tells them. They basically say, don't go there. And Teal goes, I'm going there. And then she wades through this crowd pretty effortlessly. Cool. Could this be performed differently? Yeah. Could it be better? Maybe it could be, right? In this instance right now, we get the sense that Teal's very confident at navigating social situations, both physically and charismatically. If we take this scene and give it a different tint, if we give it some more awkwardness, maybe Teal keeps bumping into people as she's trying to get through this wave of pedestrians walking by, this endless projection of people promenading. We can have her bump into people and what are they carrying? What are they doing? What do they say to Teal? What are these people talking about, right? This paints a better picture of the city rather than Teal just going through the motions. Once again, we come to this issue of do we take a moment to build up Teal, or do we take a moment to build up the setting? And I'm not really sure right now. Both could work, right? As it stands right now, I don't think there's a great reason to prolong this scene, especially if we're already coming off of a lengthy introspection. There's no need to prolong an awkward, bumbling experience. That would take up a couple paragraphs. It's not really necessary. We want to get Teal to this building so that the chapter can actually start, so that she can actually start getting into the weird philosophy that the mogul presents, formerly the dealer. By the way, this is all going to change, right? Like the deediary. I don't know if the deediary is going to change, because there's a good joke towards the end of the chapter about the absurdity of this store. But I digress. Teal talking to the pedestrian, honestly, she disregards their advice anyway, so there's zero reason for her to even talk to the person. We don't need her to interact with a tertiary character. It just doesn't serve the narrative at all for her to have this interaction and then go over to the store and then kind of be a big doofus about it. She can just, she has her moment. She stumbles into the avenue. She has a brief period of people watching, which now that I'm saying that out loud, why do we need her to interact? Why do we need her to interact with the crowd if she's just going to observe them, right? We don't need to do both. Teal can see what people are carrying. She can hear what they're talking about. She's eavesdropping. She's being nosy, right? And that's what we're setting up here. So we really don't even disregard that entire thing about her potentially being awkward. She can just go about her way. We can paint her as being dexterous in social situations, as just naturally nimble. We can either highlight how lithe she is, how lithe? She's skinny. She's thin. This girl ain't got no curves. She's a stick. She is, she's like a stick bug. Remember when that was a meme? Remember when that stick bug meme was a meme? That was funny. Anyways, she don't need to have any of this. She can just go to the store and come to the store and be like, oh, what a weird store. And then the story can continue. We don't need this whole rigmarole. She gets to the store and she enters, and there's like a kind of an okay explanation of the outside. The deed area is described as being kind of run down, kind of threadbare, a bit of a shack. I think even I'm making up a lot of that. The store itself is really lacking in description, both inside and out. Its interior and exterior are both just thin. There's like, we do enough to establish like, okay, it's a rundown place. It's kind of crappy. Cool. Great. I think there could be a little more meat here that we can dig our teeth into. I 110% want to make it just sound like a shotgun shack, just like a West Virginian sheet metal and wood. There's tires, right, propping up stuff. There's like barbed wire in places for something, like like some crap you'd build in a survival crafting game, right? Just out of odds and ends. That's what this store is like on the outside. It is just thrown together crappy building, clearly. And like Teal's joke about they're clearly lacking a building permit hits the nail on the head. I have here like, you can think of Tom Nook's starting shop from like the very first Animal Crossing, the Animal Crossing on the GameCube, where Tom Nook's starting store is literally just a wooden shack. That's kind of the vibe I want to go for. The interior additionally should have this more oppressive air to it. It should really embody this kind of weird terror that really doesn't have a payoff, but is something that, like, I don't know, you ever, this is maybe a personal thing, but sometimes when you have to go to like an office or like a government, I don't want to say just a building. It's not just the building, but say you have to get a license renewed or a card renewed, or you have to do something that involves petty bureaucracy. You have to go somewhere to get a photo taken and then fill out forms, and you're just going to be sitting around waiting. You're going to ultimately be confused. Somebody's going to blab form names off at you and tell you to sign in triplicate somewhere. Maybe you're going to, like meet an accountant, and the accountant's just going to spew jargon at you about numbers and figures. And unless you're really well versed, unless you're an accountant too, you're going to be a little lost, right? That's kind of the vibe I'm trying to build here, of like going to a place of bureaucracy that ultimately has an oppressive air, because that's just the way they are. They kind of want you to be a little confused and out of the loop, because if you're confused and out of the loop, they can likely scam you a little, right? And that's definitely what the mogul here is going for. They're, None of these shelves are labeled. There's papers all over the place. It should, Teal should walk into this building and have her little moment and just hear like the faintest scribbling from the back of the story and be like, okay, that's unnerving. Why is this set up like a horror movie? Am I the protagonist of a horror movie? Oh no. That means I'm alone, right? So I'm probably going to die. And then the story's going to proceed to a group of teenagers who are on their way to the West Coast for like a March break, right? For spring break. It's got to be spring break because they're in the States, right? That's how that works. There's a little fourth wall break. This is just like a very small additional note. There's a fourth wall break here, right? Teal's in the store. She's kind of going through it. She meets... maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. I am getting ahead of myself here. She like sees the mogul, but she hasn't quite talked to them yet, and she's observing them from afar. There's a fourth wall break here where I mention that their writing is similar to typeface. And it's very jarring. Not that I dislike the joke. I really like the joke, but the joke really just punches a fist through the fourth wall. We got to tone that down a little. We'll break the fourth wall later. We gotta bring the fourth wall into focus. We gotta poke at it a little, right, before we break it later, so that when we do break it later, the audience is like, oh wow, I didn't think you were actually going to do it. You were being pretty tepid before. I didn't think you were actually just going to turn to me and be like, hey, dipshit, are you reading the book still? Because this book isn't going to keep going unless you read it. Did you know that? Okay, well, let's keep going then. Speaking of let's keep going, let's continue on. We need to soften that. We need to soften that fourth wall break. That's all I'm trying to say here. Which is good and fine. Teal proceeds in. She comes to the back of the deanery, and she's observing things. She's taking note of the mogul at their work, and there's a bell, and obviously she rings the bell, right? She's gonna ring the bell. Who among us is strong enough to resist a calling bell upon a counter? I'm not. I sure ain't. Typically, though, I can't think of a good moment in my life that I've needed to use one. Typically, the person's right there. Usually, in my experience, they're already there. But she rings the bell, which hey, foreshadowing. And she gets the mogul's attention. They start talking. And I really just want to wallow in how awkward this first exchange is. The mogul is super tart, and I want Teal to just bounce off of that. Just like she's trying really hard to spin her wheels here to get a conversation going, and the mogul's just not having it. The mogul is just 100% business. And so I think we can dig in here, we can entrench here, and really, like we have been previously, really push how awkward Teal is when she's kind of like rebuffed, when her natural talent for being sociable comes up against somebody who just does not want to socialize. Teal just like inevitably flounders because she goes, well, I've used all my options. I tried the talking thing. What else can I do? Think? Good God, no. Me? Think? What do I look like? Somebody with more than 12 intelligence? So we should make this first back and forth a little more awkward. She really ends up like weaseling her way into the mogul's work, into their life, into she's just curious, she's just rizzing them up. And I think she can do this by acting a little more. There's not really a lot of like action going on here. It's really just a back and forth. And I think this conversation would be improved substantially by just some actions, not like action. I don't want Teal to pull out a gun, but there's very little movement. There's very little of anybody doing any moving. The mogul could shift in their seat. Teal could raise a hand, just little things, but there's not a lot going on here. There's some good gags in this section. For example, Teal calls them out, right? And this is kind of like a joke that needs to stay, which is why the deediary should stay, is because her logic leads her down the path that, like, oh, if this is the deediary and you sell deeds, wouldn't that make you the deeder? And the mogul just immediately is like, no, that's ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Why would you assume that? Why would you ever think that somebody would, call themselves a made-up word? Why would somebody use a made-up word? That's ridiculous. I don't know. There's some good gags here that and just some good turn of phrase, some good word usage that should stay. This conversation here, more awkward, a little more acting. The content of it is fine. We get into... Sorry, there's like a save to PC. There it is. Did it disappear on the stream too? You really just got to call it out. You really got to call out that little bubble. Anyways, definitely, I don't have ADD, by the way. I'm perfectly neurotypical. I'm definitely undiagnosable. If my doctor ever watches these, please get me some Ritalin. Just kidding, don't. I value your medical opinion. But for real, like, man, I got some serious shit going on. Especially, like, I just drank a tea and the caffeine's kicking in. Anyways, let's keep going. Our pace is good here. Our pace is good, and like going forward, there's really just a lot of little issues in the middle here. The mogul describes what they do, and that's good and great and fine, but I think they need to be more tart about it. They need to be more standoffish, which will give Teal the opportunity to pry. This should be more of like, for Teal, this is pulling teeth, and for the mogul, it's them not making a sale. Neither party in this conversation is happy with the outcome, and yet the conversation is progressing. The conversation is it's not taking hold. It's just progressing in like a weird way, in a weird way that neither party is kind of okay with. In this vein, Teal, who's asking a bunch of questions here, might even need a reminder as to like what a deed is. She, in her current state, might be thinking, what do you mean? What does a deed do? What do you mean ownership? How does the deed give you ownership to a thing? She should be really confused about the whole concept, right? So we need to adjust that. This goes back to the idea that a lot of the characters in the book really need to have their own voice. They need to maintain characterization throughout their chapter, throughout their interactions with Teal. And this is an example of it, where the dealer kind of loses shape halfway through. They don't lose shape, but they're kind of amorphous throughout their chapter. They kind of start as one thing, and then they don't really retain their form throughout the entirety of it. And Teal, likewise, should be an inquisitive annoyance here, like she has been throughout the rest of the book. So we need to adjust this section, their back and forth, their explanation, their questions. Just subtly, like I said, the content here is fine. It's just the way it's presented, like always, needs some adjusting. Another example is the mogul here gets very uncharacteristically chatty. They start expounding a little bit, expunging. And I don't think that's bad if we get Teal to the point where Teal is like actively pulling information out of them. Teal's hit upon the note. Teal struck on the chord that she found, like, I found the thing that I know that you like to talk about. When you're meeting somebody new and you find out one of their interests, so you start chatting about that. When you hit, never mind, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there with more neurodivergent, deep lore. So they're too talkative. They're just too talkative. They need to be more sharp in their responses. Like, honestly, if possible, 1-word responses, 2-word responses. This person is very clearly of the mindset that if they're not making a sale to this weirdo, then what's the point? Like, why bother wasting words with you? We can ham up their notion that having this sheet, having the deed grants one ownership to something. We can push this their notion, the mogul's notion, that those who recognize proper ownership are therefore recognized as proper citizens, right? The notion that the state at large and the state's recognition of who owns what is generally the full idea of who owns what. Now I have to pause here for just one moment. Just a tiny moment. I just heard something. in my office. And I'm certain there's not a cat in here. I'm dang certain my cat's not in here. So if I freak out a little bit, there might be a mouse in here, which is really funny. I don't think a mouse would weird me out, but it might spook me a little if it's like wiggling around. It's definitely hanging out in my bookshelf. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out together. If a mouse pops out, then hey, live stream interrupted by a mouse. That's great. I'll edit in a mouse into this part of the stream. I'll put in like a mouse PNG and just have it running around. Let's get back on topic here, because that'll help me ignore the mouse in the room. You've heard about an elephant in the room. Get ready for this. Even the elephant doesn't want to see a mouse in the room. Sheesh. What do we have here? They start talking, right? And the mogul lays down their definition of ownership. And Teal finds that really strange. Teal's like, what do you mean? Like, just because you have a piece of paper doesn't mean you own it. And the mogul here is trying to defend the notion that, like, yeah, that's how polite society works. Like, you have to have information. You have to have a substantial claim to a thing and the proper forms so that, society at large recognizes you as the owner of what you have. If you don't have the deed, then you don't own the thing, because then the state doesn't recognize you as the owner. So they have this kind of back and forth, and eventually they, like, the mogul just kind of out of nowhere, and they grab a sheet. Teal's starting to tick them off a little bit, and they basically say, okay, well, here, let me show you. And they scribble out a deed for Teal's hat. And given Teal's previous scare at the market, given how not only that happens, but how in draft 2 we're going to expand upon this idea, she should be a lot more afraid here. She should be a lot more scared. Because this is like a big deal. She's like, somebody is doing a bad thing to me. Again, I don't like this. she should really have this moment of like, oh no, my hat, what are you doing? You can't take my hat, before it finally dawns on her, like, wait a minute. And we can even maybe frame it like this, where the guy is showing her the deed and the hat is still clearly on Teal's head, and Teal just goes, well, that's stupid. All you did was write it down on a piece of paper. That doesn't mean you own my hat. It's on my head. I own the hat. It's mine, right? So we need to have a bump here where Teal's much more fearful. She's scared. A thing is happening. A bad thing is happening to me again. I don't like that. And then she thinks for a moment, and then she says, wait, that's stupid. You're stupid. This was just a big bluff, and it's not working. There should be more of a beat here, right? So Teal's confronted, and she goes, wait, that's dumb. I'm not paying for your thing. And then she kind of plays an Uno reverse card on the mogul here. She plays the old switcheroo, and she jumps across this counter that's in between them, and she grabs a deed, and she grabs a pen, and she scribbles all over it, and she writes down, yada, yada, yada. I own the deediary, essentially, is what she puts down on the paper, just to, freak this dude out, just to give them a taste of their own medicine. And in that, we should have more of once again, another awkward moment. Another moment where we can, pull the lever on the tension here and really just slam on the brakes, and give Teal this, because to think about it reasonably, for Teal to reach across this counter and to grab like a blank sheet, and for her to snatch a pen up, is going to be such an awkward situation, right? Teal's not that tall. She's definitely going to have to like sprawl over this counter and reach and kind of like swat away the mogul in order to grab a pen and a sheet. I think it would just be like a lovely garnish of comedy in this already stupid chapter. Teal has this big awkward physical engagement where she's trying to steal things. She's just like, I'm just going to take this. Like, she's being really petty and bratty and just very silly, but the mogul's just going along with it. Just ramping up the awkwardness of the scene, giving it more of a beat, I think would do wonders. She fills out this deed, she presents it, she gets the mogul all worked up into a point where she like forces them to trade for the hat deed. It's fine. There's a lot of fun to be had here. I really like the way the chapter concludes overall. I'm not sure if I love the optics here of Teal revealing her name. It's we should really revisit this part here, especially where they have a bit of a beat where the mogul is like, I can't read that. What does it say? And Teal goes, oh, well, it says this, and then underneath it says my name. And then they're like, oh, is that you? Which, I mean, like, the comedy in this situation is pretty funny. But, we need to rephrase it as being more vague, which unfortunately undoes a lot of the joke here. But ultimately, to serve the narrative going forward, we can't have a situation where Teal's just openly revealing her name, because later on it becomes a big deal. Teal has like a moment where she's thinking like, oh, I really only did tell one person my name, right? When we come to chapter 35 and things happen, spoiler alerts, when things happen later on in the book, it becomes kind of an issue that Teal's a little made fun of. Teal is the butt of a joke, that she hasn't really introduced herself to anyone. She's really only told one person her name, and that person was probably too confused at the time to even remember it. So we need to do away with this here so that moment later on is more impactful. We can't have Teal going around haphazardly revealing her name whenever she wants. Even if it is in script. And I think a good way to do this would just be to like, yeah, the mogul can't read her name. She wrote it in script. They just can't make it out. um, some way, you know. Yeah, or we just omit it overall. Teal doesn't sign the thing. Maybe she just threatens to sign it. Maybe she just threatens to pen out her name and be like, oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then I'll own it all. And the mogul's like, no. Wait, hold on. We can trade. We can be cool. We can be cool, right? Let's not do anything hasty. Yeah, there's some imagery here of Teal right in here. Teal, there's this illusion that Teal's a cat hunting her prey, and that's fine. It's good writing, quote unquote. It's good writing. It's not actually good writing, but it is more applicable, right? We've been talking about alluding to Teal being a bird, because that is her namesake. So it would be better for her to be portrayed as a bird of prey. We can have these avian-centric illustrations here, perhaps the allusion to her being hawkish, as she, looms over her prey, as she snatches them up, as she sharpens her beak. I don't know, anything, right? Anything to get away from a cat and to have her be more of a bird. We can keep the notion here, but we just got to twist we got to shift the animal. Different animal. Teal's not a cat. What else here? Ultimately, she does trick the mogul into giving up her deed, the deed to her hat, for the deed that is all of their stuff, which is just like, right, there's like 2-year-old, 3-year-old logic going on here, very childish logic. And that's the point of the whole chapter, is that it's stupid. None of this really makes sense. Teal's really only going along with it because she's like upset and has amnesia. Whereas like, yeah, you get the sense that the mogul is just an idiot. They're just a moron, like a very obsessed moron. I think we come to the end of this chapter and we should revel in Teal's success a little more, right? Because Teal loves these little theatrical moments where she can kind of be the center of the tension. She can kind of put on a performance. She's the leading role. The fact that she's playing cool, she's being coy, she's being aloof, we can ham that up. Likewise, we can flip the scene, and in the mogul's moment of triumph, their apparent triumph, we can really play up just how petty, just how like off-putting their idea of success is, right? Just so silly it is, just so silly this whole situation is. We can really ramp that up, and I think it'll improve the end of this chapter quite a bit. So we can work this in. We can have Teal revel. We can have Teal, put herself into this performance from start to finish. Whereas like towards the end here, she's just kind of like, oh, okay, I got what I wanted. Great. I got mine. Bye. Which like, whatever. Like, sure, she can kind of do that. And then we also give the mogul a beat here to revel in their success, right? We let Teal have a moment. We let the mogul have a moment. And then we shift aside to what really matters, which is, the last beats of the chapter here, which definitely needs some work given the new circumstances. We can definitely still have Teal just absolutely disappear. She just vanishes. The mogul's like, haha, I've done it. I beat you. I'm smarter. Very much like a what's that guy's name? Dan, I'll steal it, right? That guy. A runaround. I'll steal it and no one will ever know, right? Dan, is it Backslide? Dan Backslide? Something like that. Dan Backslash? I don't know. Anyways, very much like a very petty cartoon criminal sort of success, right? And in that moment, Teal just disappears. Teal's out of the scene. That's fine. Teal can disappear, whatever. But we should have her at least have a moment on the stoop outside the deediary. Whether or not she does that here, whether or not she leaves properly, whether or not this chapter ends with her maybe melding into the crowd and disappearing outside the store, we need to give her some time, right, to come to terms with like how foolish this interaction just was. Not only does it close the chapter off a lot better, but it cements a beat in Teal, right? We come to the end of this movement. We're finishing it off. We're not just like ending on a sour note here. We need to have things come to an end. Be that one end or another. They need to conclude. And right now it's just kind of like, once again, a very hasty ending. I don't hate that it's hasty, but there isn't anything to tie the knot at the end, right? You can have things done hastily as long as there's a closing remark here. As long as there's a bow at the end, we tie things up nicely. We've wrapped everything up. We got to tie the bow on. Because otherwise, why'd you bother wrapping a present? If you're not going to put a bow on a present, why bother wrapping it? That's just silly. A wrapped present needs a bow. That's what makes it a present. These are just personal opinions. But yeah, we got to give her a moment here to give a moment to Teal, where she's cementing her feelings. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be like right now she stands here, she sighs, she rips up the deed, and that's it. That's fine. But there needs to be just a little more here at the end. Just a little something of like what she's thinking, what she's feeling, why she ripped it up. How the experience of ripping it up makes her feel. How letting these shards, these scraps of paper go, how meaningless they are to her. And also to coagulate the theme of this chapter. That, yeah, that deed was pretty useless, wasn't it? The whole notion was pretty stupid, wasn't it? Teal still has her hat on, doesn't she? Right? There's no guards around. Nothing bad was going to happen. This is just a very silly notion from start to finish. And we need to have a beat here that proves that, or at least reinforces it. But otherwise, hey, that's the end of the chapter. We're at chapter 13. Right here. We're in the flesh. Likewise, I've talked for about 50 minutes, which is pretty good. We're right on track. We're right on track, chat. Ooh, say that 5 times fast. I don't think I will. I don't think I want to do that. You know what I do want to do? I want to itch my nose. Man, my allergies have been rotten. So bad lately that I can't sleep. I just lay in bed with a snuffly lows. A lows? A lows? I mean, I do a lot of losing. Maybe that's what keeps me up at night. I can't get loss.jpg out of my head. But yeah, man, allergies, awful. This pollen season, awful. My book, well, it's not awful. I wouldn't say it's great. It's not awful. You should go read it. You should go read my book. That'll do it for this week's draft diary. That's it. That's all I wrote. We kind of sped through that. Like, I feel if I was on topic, I could have done that in half an hour. I shouldn't give myself unrealistic goals. But yeah, we did it. We got through the meat and potatoes of chapter 12. There's quite a lot to fix. There's some additions we want to put in. A lot of the conversation between Teal and the mogul is fine. Some more descriptions would be great. Some tightening of characterization would go a long way. And ultimately, like I said, tie up the ending and the chapter's good to go. It doesn't need a lot of alterations like other chapters, and we're going to find that as we go forward. Especially we'll see next chapter, and as Teal exits the city and tours new locales, we're going to see that my notes just fall off. They just start shrinking. But that gives me the opportunity in one aspect, that gives me the opportunity to focus on other things that need changing. So instead of there being a lot of like, oh, Teal's being weird, the environment isn't very well described, my notes shift to more subtle aspects, such as, oh, we need to focus on this going forward, actually. Or, hey, here's an idea that I have had saved in my phone for a year. We need to implement that, me. These poems suck, right? Different things like that. So going forward, we're going to notice that. But, I mean, hey, right now, we're living in the present. And we're done chapter 12. We're done. We're done like dinner. We're done like winner chicken dinner. I wonder what's for dinner. I think it's gonna be stir fry. Stir fry. Maybe not. Maybe just macaroni. Enough food talk. Enough talking about food. We should shift gears to the other thing that we do, which is called, I'm gonna yap and draw some funny pictures, and y'all are gonna hang out and maybe ask a question, or maybe not. NBD. I'm gonna give you the opportunity regardless. For now, I'm gonna maybe stand up, maybe put on some music, maybe run to the washroom. Who knows? I don't know. Do you? Do you know? Because that'd be kind of crazy. That'd be kind of wild. But regardless, first things first, I'm gonna click on this. Hey, I'm over here in the void. Hi. It says it doesn't like anything over here. It says, I don't like you. That's what the void says. But you know what we say to the void? Not today. Not today, void. Hey, here's the thing. Here's the thing we were looking for. And I'll go over here and I will open up a thing. Is this it? No, that's not it. That is not it. Oh, I gotta go through my files. Gasp. There it is. Is that it? No, that's from the other week. Hold on. I'll find it. It's here somewhere. Would that be funny if it just wasn't here? It might not be here. There it is. It's way at the bottom. No wonder I couldn't find it. We did some of these drawings a couple weeks ago on our Saturday stream. Shame if you couldn't make it. You know. Shame if you couldn't make it to a Saturday stream. It is a bit of a shame. We hang out on Saturdays. Shameless plug to no one in particular. We hang out. We do some drawing. Sometimes we do homework. Last week we made a map. It wasn't very fun, I think, for anyone, but we did it. But yeah, we're going to revisit some of these drawings. I gave them one pass. I think today I'll go over them with another pass, tighten them up, maybe add some garments for Teely here. But in the meantime, not the kind time, I'm gonna, hey, surprise, I'm gonna do those things I said I might do. And then I'll come back I'll come back and we'll do some drawing, and I'll answer some questions if there are any. And we'll be good friends. We'll be good friend pals on the internet. And then we'll do it. I better hold on. I better put down a note. Oh, the drivers aren't. Oh, you know why? You know why the drivers aren't working? It's because my tablet's not plugged in. Because I'm a dummy. Because I'm a Nimrod. I'm a nincompoop. I'm an imbecile. I'm a fool. There we go. Cool. What do we put here? I'll put it on a 9. Small break. Joop. Burb. The international signal for... Maybe I'll come back. Maybe I will. What do you know? What do you know about me? Nothing. Y'all don't know nothing about me. Let me zoom in a little more. Yeah, there we go. Just to make it apparent to everyone that, like, yeah, I'll be back. We'll do something. I'll be back. Am I missing something? I feel like I'm forgetting to say something here. Oh, well. Anyways, be right back. And then we'll hang out. Eep. Eek. And so on and so forth. That was the mouse. That was the mouse saying hi. I put on a record. It's very quiet. Sorry if you can't hear it. It's supposed to be quiet, so YouTube doesn't yell at me. YouTube's gonna yell at me anyway. If you want music and drawing, then show up at the Saturday stream. Show up on Saturday to inevitably bore yourself with my presence. What even is on layer 1? Hold on. What's on layer 1? Nothing. Okay. Weird. We'll just use layer 1 then. Layer 1's just sitting here, not being used. I kind of like this drawing a little more. I better do the professional thing and put on Q&A mode in YouTube. Hold on. Not that anybody's gonna ask a question, but it's the thing to do. It's the thing to do in YouTube, There we go. Yippee. Yippee. I'll check on that in a little bit. Not that I think there's going to be any questions, but it's good to keep that kind of stuff open. Let's see here. I think a big thing with this first pose is it was a little too outward. So with this version, we'll try to correct some of those inaccuracies. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's picking up. This album is pretty good. It's pretty good so far. It's like a little metal. There's a little bit of shredding going on right now. But yeah, I don't know if there's really anything to talk about today. I don't know if anyone had any good things happen on this weekend. This weekend? Yeah, well, I mean in the week. For me, it's the weekend, right? Because like I just said, and like I'm going to keep saying until somebody walks into the room and goes, oh, wow, this person streams on Saturday too? Like I was saying, we were just hanging out. Everyone here, everyone who's cool was just hanging out together on Saturday. So, you know, it's really just the weekend. For anybody who matters, it was just the weekend. You might be noticing that I've changed the content type to comedy. And that's because every moment spent here is a joke, right? So, you know, that's where the humor comes from. And I thought it would be more apt. Apparently, people in blogs is for talking about people. That's like celebrity YouTube channels use that category to promote their like, or to be like, oh, we were talking about the latest gossip on, you know, yada yada productions. I don't know, Yada had his own movie studio. Good for him. I mean, I asked an open question and then I didn't even answer it. I didn't do anything. My weekend was quiet. I'm trying to think of anything spectacular that happened. I didn't sleep. I'm on the fourth consecutive night of not sleeping very much. And boy, is it starting to add up. That's it. That's the end of the thought. Like I said, we had our stream on Saturday. We drew a map. That was pretty fun, just getting to spitball ideas about world building. There was supposed to be a guy that was going to show up and install toilets in my house. They didn't show up. Not that they did show up and they just didn't install the toilets. That'd be kind of whack. They just didn't show up, which is also pretty whack. But I think it just means I'm going to have to install the toilets myself, which isn't the end of the world, but I don't know how. If you can believe it, I'm not much of a plumber. When it comes to houses, I'm pretty clueless. Aside from like architecture. I don't know anything about how houses work. They got 4 walls. I can build a pretty good house in Minecraft. Yeah, dig a hole in the dirt. That might just be a grave, honestly. But what is a grave but a house for a corpse? That's a little bleak. That's a bit of a bleak thought. Let's not get too deep into that. So a weird thing with this pose, like you can't even really see this guy's delts. They're just like here, coming over and going over, because the chest really comes out and like opens. And then the rest of the chest just like, because their other shoulder's going back, you really only see this part of the chest here. And then it's hard to tell, like obviously their torso here is contorted. But as for where their waist is, hard to get a good read on it. Which is a good way to say, just don't worry about it too much, I guess. If you can't see it, though, whatever, it's there. It's there, but you can make it up, right? As long as A gets to B. I don't know what I'm saying. I might even need to fudge this down a little bit. I might need to budge this down a little bit. Sometimes you put fingers in and they just look good, and other times you put them in, they don't look good. So you just gotta try. You know, you just gotta see. You just gotta see. You gotta see what happens. doesn't look bad. Maybe even a little. Yeah, I'll just butcher it all. Hold on a sec. I think this could turn a little bit more. And we'll just redraw that foot. So, you know, for example, we could really analyze how this arm is working. Let's maybe check that out over here, right? So we can see that, I'm just doing this to eat up time, honestly. We can see that this arm is going in this direction, right? And we can judge by the depth of the sleeve here that it's probably resting in a mostly like parallel to the camera. So ergo its length is going to follow traditional anatomical rules. That being that one's forearm is generally the length of their rib cage. That being said, right, with it probably, you know, the elbow's probably around here, with it being mostly perpendicular, and judging by just generally how this guy is pushing off, you know, that would require sort of a straight arm. So likely their upper arm is probably in the same perspective. So then, likewise, we can come here, and we can assume, okay, well, that's going to be an upper arm that extends from here in a mostly straight projection. And once again, because of the anatomical rules, we can assume that the arm is about the same length as the forearm. This is just general, you know, everyone has unique proportions. And this is already kind of looking okay, because that infers that the shoulder's around here, which given, you know, like the bend and the deltoid and coming off the traps, which even looking at it this way, you know, maybe wrong layer. Maybe the head should come forward a little bit. Right, because like the neck is in there, the traps are in there, extending, going down the back. So see, you know, doing that work was kind of beneficial in the end. So it's good to draw through your stuff and not just assume you know where things are going to be, because it can inform the rest of your drawing a lot. You know, because a big part of this too is we get the inflection, not the inflection. We can infer like the guy's neck is over here somewhere, right? But we don't really get to see it because his shoulder's in the way. But a large part of that is, you know, musculature, right? This guy's probably got pretty beefy shoulders by the looks of it, but also there's a lot of cloth going on over here, which can do a lot to obfuscate the neck area, right? The neck region. So for somebody like Teal, who's got much thinner shoulders, her neckline's probably coming down quite a bit. We might even see a bit of her neck. So that will inform the silhouette of the character. Then you can just budge things around, right? It's your own drawing at the end of the day. Oh, whoops. Whoop. I've been using my mind. That's the sound. That's the sound of my mind. I had a what are those called? I had a theremin. I had a theremin put in my head instead of a brain. Because I am a box. I'm a box. And there's nothing you can do about it. Dang, the album is already done its first side. I'm not going to flip it because I'm lazy. I'll get to it eventually. Anyways, this drawing looks alright. We could do a little more here to reinforce the, like the hips. Teal does have hips, even though she is skin and bones, Teal does have hips. They are necessary for walking as a biped. You need them. Even if you walk on 4 legs, guess what? You got hips, and those hips don't lie. Do 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 do. I wish I knew the words of this song. Shakira, Shakira, right? That's part of the song. You're gonna come over here and flip me. What if I do this? What if I flip the canvas? Flip, 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 flip. You better be lucky I don't know the hotkey for vertical flip, or else you'd be in trouble. You'd be in trouble. Uh-oh. The caffeine's wearing off, everyone. Wrap it up. Wrap it up, folks. The caffeine is crashing. Caffeine is going down. Hey, on that note, there's not a note here. It's just something I was thinking of. Sorry. I don't like this leg. I don't like it. Thinner, and then I have to... is it her hips problem, or is it... Where? Okay, hold on. Pause that thought. Where the frick is this guy's hips? Kind of like that. It's hard to read because of his jacket. There's a lot of foreshortening going on in this form. Like he's got his butt out. Where the leg's coming from, right? Sorry, I was saying that we were talking about the Saturday stream and how cool I am and how I'm the best because I stream on Saturdays. But it turns out that I will not be doing that this week, which is pretty comical. I am busy. I am busy this week, so there will not be a Saturday stream this week. We will, however, be returning next Tuesday for Draft Diary, so don't worry too much about that. I'll be here next Tuesday. I won't be here Saturday, though. Much to everyone's disappointment, I know. What else will you do on a Saturday? Probably enjoy yourself, I hope. Probably relax. Maybe bake a pie? I don't know. You can do anything. It's your Saturday. You do what you want. Go to a protest. Go to the movie theater. Go bowling. Cry. It's up to you. No, whoops. I don't know how I did that a second time. I must have been thinking. I must have done some thinking. And forgotten to go back to the pen. I'm mostly just fussing right now. Some of these proportions are off. Right? Like, ain't no way Teal's butt is that big. Right? This girl's skin and bones. Yeah, she's mostly just bones. Let's be real. You get it? You get it? She's mostly just bones because she's dead. You get it? I get it. Spoiler alert. I can say that because no one's here. I can say that. It's just Robin here. Got a few views. We got a few people show up and immediately bail because the VTuber's confusing. The VTuber's scary and doesn't have massive badonkers. I'm out. A VTuber talking and being boring, not playing video games. Ugh, I hate it. I hate them. I hate boring VTubers without giant hoo-has. I mean, you know, as a box, I don't have a gender, so I could invest in some of those like 4000cc silicone inserts, right? I've seen going around Twitter. I can invest in some of those. That would help with the views, right? That would do numbers. That would rake in the money, right? Could you, like, I try sometimes to imagine a world where I am that petty for attention, and it's not a good world. It's not a good, like, could you imagine a world where I am that desperate? Like a world where I'm that unself-aware, self-unaware, self-confident, maybe even. I don't know. It's cursed. I can't fathom it. This arm here is really gross and bad, and I hate it. Maybe one day I'll fix it. Pretty sure I just heard that mouse again. Squeak, 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 squeak. I should stop trying to like coax it out. It's true, honestly. I mean, if I had the voice for it, I'd give it a shot. But maybe one day, you know, like there's definitely a shark-shaped hole in the internet, a very wide shark-shaped hole that Miss B could fill. You know, like there's an audience for that, but I lack the skills and the resources, and also the like the care, the shallowness to make that a reality. At the end of the day, I value my shark wife, and I would not subject her to that kind of life. Even though she'd be freaking great at it, she'd rake in the millions. She'd milk YouTube, she'd milk Twitch for all they're worth. She'd do numbers. She'd be cooking for real. She'd be locked in. She'd be out there playing like Deadlock, Day One, just for the views, you know. She knows nothing about MOBAs or shooters, but she'd be like, yeah, well, this is what the people are doing right now. She would be on top of it, right? She would know. She would also probably like shamelessly tell people to buy her food on stream. How the frick do lips work? Oh, that's pretty good, actually. That's not bad anyway. Now I have Shakira stuck in my head. Was Shakira the one who did that that popular song for the World Cup when it was in South Africa? Was that Shakira? I don't remember. I guess it's not that important. It's not that important, 'cause I don't remember anyway. And it doesn't really matter. Imagine saying on live internet television. Imagine saying on live internet television that Shakira doesn't matter. I'm so canceled. It's so over for me. the YouTube police are going to confiscate my accredited YouTube account that I worked so hard to level up. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I gotta fix this hair. This is awful. What? Beyonce? Beyonce? What? No way. That's not a Beyonce song. I'm certain of that. All the single ladies, Beyonce. You're telling me that, Beyonce? All the single ladies, put your hands up. If I said Beyonce is bad, well, I ain't saying she's good. Let's just leave it at that. I'm still here. I'm still here. Stream's still running. One viewer, still here. Go on. I'm waiting, YouTube. I'm not not making any strides here. Might as well cancel me, right? Put me out of my misery. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. I guess unfortunately the other sideburn would not be visible because it would just be swoosh. I feel like this foot's way too long. Come on. Come on, Sai. Work with me here. Sigh no more, my friend. I don't remember the line after that. That's a Mumford & Sons reference. You know, YouTube also keeps track of chat rate, and you know, that's usually a pretty good statistic for me. Usually we have a pretty high chat rate because there's a yappy little bird in chat, likes to talk, and so I have a great chat rate. I have a great chat rate to viewer ratio, but the viewer part of that ratio is not so great. I mean, hey, I'll take one. I'd rather take, you know, like two at least, but you know, whatever. The stream's already racked up more views than my last upload, so I can't even be upset. Makes me wonder, like, why do I even bother? Why do I even bother trimming down the videos? It seems like more people are interested in the stream. Like, just the unfiltered stream. Like, there's nothing good here. There's nothing good in my stream. Like, unless you come here to listen to me be an idiot. Personally, I thought people wanted the idiot part cut out, but, like, geez, apparently I'm wrong. Apparently people want to listen to me be stupid and sit for minutes at a time in complete silence while I hyperfixate on drawing. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. That's all I'm saying. I don't get it. I don't get YouTube. I don't get people. There's a whole, like, psychology of tricking people into watching your YouTube channel and then keeping them in on, like, as viewers. There's a whole, like, industry on hey, get your YouTube channel #1, promote, constantly be on the grind, you know, garbage like that. And you're making me sick. I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna throw up. I'm drunk. I'm gonna throw up. I don't really remember where this thought is going, but I can tell you where it is, and it's right here where I say that YouTube shilling is gross. Don't do it. Have some self-respect. It grows mine, you know. I'm definitely not better than people who are shilling, because like the shilling works, but come on, man. Come on. Anyways, unrelated, but y'all should go read my book. Read my book. It's on AO3, draft 1. Draft 1 of my book. Go read it. Please go read my book. Go read it on AO3. Go give it a kudos. Go make bot accounts to give all of my stuff more views and more kudos and more likes and more subscribes. Go artificially inflate all of my content with notes so that I look good and I feel good and maybe I'll even smell good. Yeah, this drawing's okay. It's coming I feel like I don't know. I don't want to attempt a third pass, but there's a lot in the middle here. This arm's really wigging me out. This hand's too big. This hand's way too big. And I'm just gonna cheat and move all of this to line up. To line up. Thank you. Thank you. Do. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Bless me in my time of need. You know, yeah, there's definitely some errors with this. Like, for example, like this dude's butt is just hanging out. Teal's only got like half a butt hanging out. Like her hips should be shifted considerably. There's way more foreshortening on this torso. Which, I mean, like I said, does it really matter? Isn't the pose just for reference? And, yeah. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It really is. Like, it's not meant to be copied. It is for reference, right? The fact that my mistakes read is what separates this between that, right? The art between the reference. That thought had more to go on there, but I lost it. I'm debating if I want to put clothes on this or if I want to just muddle around with the other drawing. I guess when was the last time I did like a third layer? I don't think we've actually done a drawing in a long time. Don't you sass me, bird. I know where you live. So we gotta think about things here, right? So Teal's collar might even like kind of come up a little bit here. Okay, we might even get like a bit of a fold. What's this guy's jacket doing? So yeah, we don't really get a good sense for what his jacket's doing because there's way more foreshortening. Ooh. Oh, in any case. Yeah, sorry. I'm backing up a little bit. I'm going to put her bolo tie in. And then this side's going to come down a little. Across the shoulder, and then this one's going to come across. That'll kind of do for now. And we don't really get to see a lot of the vest. Here's her little like arm hole thing. So we can see here that there's like a ripple. Which is from, you know, his shoulder blades kind of pressing together. But then the tension from their back arching kind of puts a kibosh on that. So we'll try to emulate that a little bit. This sleeve is going to come down, and Teal's got some pretty whack sleeves. Her shoulders raised, so her vest is bunching up a little. And maybe we can like have her, you know, maybe her bolo tie came out of the vest. Maybe it's floating around. Yeah, this is where it's going to be tricky. There's so much going on in the forearm here. Yeah, something like that. That's not bad. And then, yeah, there's a lot coming down across the forearm here. But then, like, Teal's garment would kind of be flopping around. Willy-nilly like that. Come on. Come on, Brian. There you go. And we got there. We got there eventually. She's got her little buttons. Someday I will draw Teal with like the appropriate amount of detail befitting her, but today is not that day. Today ain't that day. Today ain't that day, Holmes. A very sloppy hand. Right, this vest. What to do? Well, trying to just allow me to see. Yeah, because their garment is kind of like coming up. It's got a bit of a lift. So I'm not going to copy that completely because teal's got like a belt on. She's got a little sash around her waist. Which, right, where would the other side of her waist be? I guess over here, right? So we're not going to show the knot, but there's definitely going to be some ribbon flying off of her here. Which does muddle up the silhouette a bit, but gotta make sacrifices. Let's see. So we would still see, yeah, it might even lift a little, something like that. A little softer, kind of rounded a little. I'm just trying to suggest that her weird, like, front lapel or whatever is raised from this motion. And so is the rest of her vest. I don't know how much we'll see of this once we add her skirt, but for the time being, we'll keep it like that. Just little hints of things. And what will we do for this midriff? That's what's really going to bother me here. That's not wrong, but it don't look right. I think I can tell I'm just shorthanding it. I want this to, yeah, come down like that. Meh. Meh. Feh. It is mind-boggling, honestly, how much more focused I am on drawing when I'm streaming. It's ridiculous. I never focus as much. Just the subtle hint, the subtle fact that I know that at least one person is relying on me for content, for like, not even content, but just like, oh, somebody's watching me. I better not completely shit the bed. Like this alone would probably have taken me like an hour, because I'm just so bad at focusing. Because I'm just such a dingus. I'm gonna do that better, because what I want to do right now is this. Come on, is that right? No, it's not right. There's gonna be a skirt here, but I might even do that on a different layer because I just want to make sure we know where Teal's butt is. Always an important thing. And also, more importantly, where the heck her boots are. Because this idiot has, like, riding boots for some reason. Hates horses. Is, like, a confirmed hippophobe. And yet is clearly wearing boots that are meant for, like, riding horses. Oh, Teal. You never cease to amaze me. Do 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 do. Y'all heard the new Gingerroot album? I've listened to it about 7 million times. It's really good. Go give it a listen. Shinban Gumi. Shinsan Gumi. Shin something Gumi. It's good. I listened to it today. Again, for the 7 millionth time. I couldn't tell you which track is my favorite because honestly, I just put it on and I vibe for about half an hour and then it's done and I go, oh wow, that was a really good half an hour. I'm using this as a break to stretch my wrist because, as previously mentioned, I normally don't draw this dedicated for so long, so my wrist hurts. That's how much of a difference this is. Which, honestly, is not a good look for my work ethic, but here we are. Here we are. I'm kind of being sloppy with these boots, because I just looked at the clock, and it's almost 5. And that means I don't know y'all shite. Not that I ever owe y'all anything, but especially right now. I don't know anyone anything. Which means I can kind of half-ass this drawing. No, I'm not gonna. I'm joking. I would never do that. I would never completely half-ass something. I would most likely just give up because the feedback is not instantaneous enough. What is going on with this foot? Sometimes you just get to part of a drawing and everything just starts falling apart and you start to notice how much of a frickin' hack job you are. Your whole life falls apart in front of you. But you just gotta keep drawing. You just gotta keep drawing, because what else is there? You know, what else is there? If not this, what else is there? I'm just gonna put like some black here, just to indicate it's our tights. And we'll quick tack on some her skirt. And we'll call this pretty much good enough. We'll use a dark green for the skirt. How would her skirt? She's like, her momentum is this way. Yeah, by the looks of it, kind of like that. Which means it's kind of squished up in here. Once again, we're ruining the overall silhouette, but so it is. So it is. What I'm struggling with right now is the skirt would come up from beneath the vest and then kind of tuck down, like, right? But how do I think it would just overlap. It would just overlap the vest here. Like, I think we're just gonna lose a lot of this, which is fine. That's kind of the idea. Teal skirt is somewhat pleated. So we'll just make some hints of this here. I don't want to go too in detail. And then we'll do like some oops. I'm just doing this to add a splash of color. So I don't have to actually like worry about where on earth this little sash is going. we'll do something like this to suggest some depth. And we'll do the same thing over here and toss in like some little lines. Here, actually, I'll do that in a white so we don't have this weird see-through effect. There. It only moderately looks really dumb. Cool. And hey, guess what? That's 5 o'clock right on the dot. That's 5 o'clock right on the dot, folks. Bam. Teal drawing speedrun. We did a pretty solid sketch and some details in about an hour. Not bad. Could go over this and polish it up. But I'm not gonna, because I'm freaking lazy. I got a book to write. I ain't got time to draw. What do you think I am, a drawing person? You think I've been drawing for years? No way. I'm bad. My posts don't get more than 10 notes on tumblr.com. That's how you know I'm not any good. For real though. Self-deprecating humor aside, thanks for coming, everyone. That was pretty good. Did some drawing. I mean, it was quiet. No questions this week. So the upload after that is just going to be a short one. But, yeah. We went over chapter 12 this week. We did some drawings. Let me center this. Let me center this a little better in the background. I guess you can see all of it, can't you? I'm trying to center it so that there's like good content for the end of the video. That'll have to do. That's as good as it's gonna get. Yeah, that's the stream. Thanks for coming, everyone. It's been another Tuesday. As I said earlier, there will be no stream on Saturday this week. I am away. I will be probably very drunk. Very drunk and very full of food. I will, however, I don't think I'm going to be intoxicated, aside from the alcohol. Alcohol doesn't count, right? Alcohol is not an intoxicant, right? Hey, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm always that dumb. I'm always very dumb. I'm just usually not drunk and open about how dumb I am. I usually keep it pretty tight-lipped. These streams are not indicative of my usual level of aptitude. Don't quote me. Any quote taken from any stream I'm on doesn't count. Let it be, except this one. This one right now, this one counts. You can quote this quote, but every other quote doesn't count. We went over chapter 12. We had a good time. We discussed various ways to address the issues surrounding the mogul, surrounding their place of business, how we can further establish Teal as a character going forward, how we can do a better job doing some world building. What else do we talk about? Making the scenes generally more awkward, while hopefully keeping a lot of the comedic value that's already present. We will be back next week for chapter 13. Chapter 13 is once again going to be a standalone episode, so look forward to that. Chapter 13 has a lot. It's not like big. It is a big chapter, but it's the content of it is actually fairly small. A big thing with chapter 13 is it's a chapter of transition. So much like chapter 5, where the thing Teal does really isn't that big compared to the chapter length. It's because she's moving from one location to another. So chapter 13 is a transient chapter, a liminal one. So there's a lot to address there. Hopefully we can do that in an hour. And then after chapter 13, we start going into rapid fire mode. There's probably going to be 2 chapters per episode for a little while. As I mentioned earlier, the writing definitely gets a lot tighter after chapter 12 here. I have a lot less critique with the world building and the characterization. But tune in next time. Tune in next Tuesday to see how that goes. That's next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. In the meantime, hey, you can check out my book. It is in the video description. If you didn't see it there before, I'm telling you now. We're 8 episodes in, folks. The book's been there. It's been there this whole time. It's right there for free on AO3. You could probably steal it if you really wanted. Just kidding, you wouldn't. AO3's got pretty good copyright protection. You could probably steal it and change all the names and get away with it. You could do that. You could probably steal the general narrative and warp it slightly and take it to a publisher and just spew it through ChatGPT once or twice. And then you could probably sell it and get away with it. And I would be in a lot of duress because there's basically nothing I could do about it at that point. And that's the society we live in, everyone. Hooray. I love the future. I love the year 2024. Thank you. Thank you, tech bros. Thank you, Silicon Valley. Thank you, technology. I love you. Thank you, hate crimes. I don't want to get into it right now. I'm not getting into it. Never mind. This part's going to be removed from the video. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. Thank you for tuning in. As always, it's been my pleasure. I hope you all have a good rest of your whatever. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.